So, as you well know, I was one of the co-founders in Pharmanex, and that was back in 1995, yeah, about 95. And the company was all on its own. And we sort of really started a company with a whole bunch of pharmaceutical scientists. And what we wanted to do was really to see whether we can apply all our drug discovery and all what we've done in drug research, and then turn our attention to a group of natural ingredients that we have always been using for drug discovery, because we think there's a lot of value there. And most drug companies are really not interested in natural products. They'd rather have a synthetic chemical as a starting point for drug development, because that's what they can protect most well, and rather than just on a natural ingredient, since it's been around for many years. Despite its value, most drug companies don't see the economic value in developing that as something to maintain health in humans. Anyway, we actually love these natural ingredients so much so that we started Pharmanex. And rather than doing drugs, we didn't want to do that. We really wanted to sort of use these natural ingredients to develop nutritional supplements, because we think nutritional supplements, by supplementing the diet with such natural products, you can actually help the body to grow stronger and be much more healthy. So that's what we have been doing in Pharmanex, and we were fairly successful. And in fact, if I share the next slide with you, fundamentally for 3 years, up to 98, we were very successful. We were in roughly 30,000 stores here in the United States alone, and we have become rather profitable, and so much so that we became well known as well. And we got well known enough that a company called Nu Skin decided to contact us and sort of inquired from the very beginning to see whether they can actually license a particular product. And we sort of say, sure, why don't we come along and we can have a chat. Frankly, at that point in time, back in the late 97, early 98, I have no idea what Nu Skin was all about. In fact, I don't even know where Utah was at that time, because Pharmanex was in Los Angeles. Anyway, so they came and visited with us and started to learn about this product. It was actually a product called Colestin, and they got intrigued. And in fact, when we described how we developed that nutritional supplement through this unique R&D engine that we had developed, and through a process that is really approximate how drugs are being manufactured and so on, they really got more excited and more interested. Rather than licensing a particular product, they wanted to go and have a discussion on acquiring the whole company. So at the time, as I mentioned to you, we were rather profitable, and really perhaps we were not that interested in being acquired, but we spent a few days talking about it. We had very good investors, as you can see. We had raised more than $38 million US to fund the company. And since we were profitable, that was enough to keep us going and help us grow. Anyway, one thing led to another, and primarily when they discussed their business model, and Tyler is absolutely right when he described what we're doing today. Even back then, more than 20 years ago, Nu Skin, as all of you know, was a direct selling company, and they described the model very much to us, how they market and launch products, and how it can actually be part of this business opportunity, as Tyler described it. So we listened, and at the end of the day, I guess the question was, how did we become part of Nu Skin? And as you can see, I mean, they bought a company for $135 million. It was attractive, but we had other bidders too. In fact, one of the other bids on the table is a bid that we had from a drug company, my previous company. So the money bid, for all intents and purposes, they were not the major factor. What drove us into the arms of Nu Skin was really about we wanting to go international. We were just then back in the United States, Pharmanex, and we knew going international on our own would take a lot of significant investment. And Nu Skin, with their 600,000 leaders around the world, even back then, that would make it this international distribution much easier. So in 1998, for those reasons, we decided to be acquired by Nu Skin. I would like to think of it that rather than Nu Skin acquiring Pharmanex, we like to think that we in Pharmanex allowed Nu Skin to acquire us. Anyway, so that's what we did. So 20 years later, I think we continue. And another important commitment that Nu Skin made was the commitment to research and maintaining, if not growing, this R&D engine that we had created. And because the innovation, even back then, was part and parcel of Nu Skin, and it continues to this day. In fact, it's getting better every year in terms of what they have committed in innovation. It's a perfect bridge. The nutritional supplements coming in. Nu Skin already had a very robust skincare line. So these two categories, when they come together, has made us a fairly leading anti-aging company. So these are some of the historical documents, if you will. These 4 products seen here, for all intents and purposes, were the first set of products we had in Pharmanex that were selling in those 30,000 stores, and it continues now only in the Nu Skin world, and they continue to be really some of the best sellers in the world of Nu Skin. So these are just interesting that how we managed to come a long way over the last 20 years or so. So when we talk about science, you know, what do we really do? Fundamentally, when we talk about science in Nu Skin, we just don't talk. Science is a discipline where you really have to do what you say and not just say what you say. In fact, I would consider that to be a competitive advantage insofar as many companies today would claim that they are doing science as well. But when you scratch below the surface, you tend not to find this R&D engine. In other words, they don't have the 75 scientists that we have in our R&D centers. You don't have a $200 million innovation center purposefully built to house the scientists to allow them to continue to innovate. So that's what we do in science. And we have focused on developing and focusing on this area of anti-aging, if you will. But I like to think of it more in terms of youth preservation. But nonetheless, anti-aging is a term that we had used. So when you go at it in sort of really slowing down the aging process, most of us tend to develop products that really cover up the signs or the symptoms of aging. And that's what even we in Nu Skin, before AgeLock, if you will, that's what we have been doing. We are, because the science did not allow us to really attack the fundamental sources of aging until recently. What we have been doing then sets a traditional approach and is to treat the signs or the symptoms of aging, as I mentioned. But now with AgeLock and the ability to identify the genes relating to aging, we have identified the fundamental sources of aging, and that's the Nu Skin approach. You know, this approach is far more meaningful because it addresses, as I say, at the genetic level, and that usually translates to much more effective and more potent, meaningful either nutritional supplements or a skincare product. So, and the old paradigm has always been, right? I think, you know, one doesn't need to be a scientist to remember that most of us tend to look at aging and say there's really nothing you can do. Genes are what they are. You're born with your genes. You either have good genes or bad genes. Perhaps that's a little bit of a misnomer based on latest research. What really it means is that these genes can always perform well and in a healthy manner if you allow them to do so. It's because of our lifestyle or because of a variety of other environmental factors that we don't, we continue to sort of in a way abuse these genes, and therefore they become less able to produce and function as if you were a 20-year-old, for example. So that's really the insight that we have leveraged, that you can actually, if we can somehow restore or clean up these genes in some manner, they can actually start to express themselves in a more youthful manner. And that's a new paradigm. You know, yeah, we are now influencing the expression or the functionality of age-related genes. And in doing that through our products, whether it's a skincare product affecting genes on the skin tissue, or other nutritional supplements that affect genes in the rest of the body, what we are really intending to do is to get them back to a more useful state. That, in a nutshell, is what we have in age-lock science. That's really what it describes it. And the reason why we think we remain we have an exclusive hold on this type of science relating to aging is because we also acquired a company now close to what, back in 2011, close to 10 years now, and that is a company, a biotech company called LifeGen Technologies. And these are the two founding scientists. They are the professors. Tom Proller is a geneticist, and Professor Weindrich is a physiologist studying the aging process. Their combination has actually led to creating one of the largest genetic database, in other words, genetic information, how the aging process proceeds over time. And it is that database that we acquired when we bought LifeGen, because it's such an important, you know, information is really very valuable, right? It's something that we can access, and if we can have exclusivity to that kind of information, then our scientists are the only ones who can actually address these age-related genes. So the technology that we go about using is called this gene chip, and we can literally evaluate the functionality or gene expression of thousands of genes on a single chip. It's actually a computer chip, a silicon wafer, that instead of putting bits and bytes on it, we tend to put DNA bits on it that can actually sense what type of genes. It will only attach to a particular gene. And it produces this almost like a galaxy photograph or profile of gene expression on the right. And these are the type of data that our scientists can actually look at. And we have millions of these kinds of data points to look at, and that is why we think right now we really have an exclusive gene database on the aging process. Now, that's great at the genetic level. Does it really translate to something meaningful at a visible level, at a tissue level, if you will? And this is just an example of one of the most seminal studies conducted by Tom Proller and Richard Weindrich. And that is that Richard Weindrich, if you remember, I mentioned he's a physiologist. He has a colony of primates, these are rhesus monkeys, that he has followed through over the last 30 years. You know, that's about the average age of a primate, if you will. And they're fed diets, and they just follow them. There's no experimentation with them. For all intents and purposes, it's just observation that Richard does. And you notice on here, on the left, that's actually a primate that has been fed a USDA, or what we call a science-based, the most nutritious diet that a primate should be having. And yet, in spite of that, you can see there is not accelerated aging, but there's actually the primate gets older over time. These are twins, for instance. They're twins, actually, sibling. And the right one, by contrast, is through a process where actually Richard reduces the diet for that particular animal group. And you can see that over its time course, or throughout its aging process, you can see it maintains a very healthy looking. And so what causes that, and this is where we got excited, is because all these functionality at the physiological level can be linked back to some changes in gene expression. And that's why we use that information to develop the age-lock signs, okay? So after all those studies, I mean, that's over 30 years. You remember, I mean, I did mention to you, these primates were studied over a course of, over 30 years. So it takes a long time. It's very difficult for competitors to be able to replicate this genetic database because it just takes time. You can't accelerate that sort of accumulation of data points. So based on that knowledge, this is Y-Span, and this is our most advanced anti-aging supplement ever. Yeah, it's really a proprietary blend of several ingredients that are put together, and these ingredients are the one that we found to really restore, or at least create a gene expression profile that looks very much that occurs in a youthful state. And these are ingredients that you really can't find in a diet alone, regardless of which diet that you eat. We were unable to find these ingredients. And in fact, even when we did find a diet containing one of these ingredients, it doesn't exist in the right amounts to give you the useful state of youth gene expression. So, and that's why when we blended all these ingredients together, not a single ingredient is sufficient. And this again is something that perhaps differentiate us from the rest of the competition. We like to think it's almost like a collection of natural ingredients that have been discovered through scientific studies that tend to give you a much more meaningful benefit than just a single ingredient, especially when you look for anti-aging benefits. And importantly, what we've done when we did all that, we have also now understand that what it does, this Y-Span product, is really to sort of control or regulate the aging defense mechanisms. Our body, for all intents and purposes, has the ability to really bounce back. It's a very resilient machine. And so if you give it a chance to do that, to bounce back, it will. And that's what Y-Span does, is to really help through modulating these aging defense mechanisms to get you back into a more useful state. Now, we can do all that, and if we're not careful, the science would be good, but the raw materials that we get to start our product development process, they have to be of the highest quality. And this is what we use, this 6S quality process. That's what we developed and sort of invented, if you will, in Pharmanex. When we founded Pharmanex, we really want to make sure that we have a quality process in place that can actually allow us to make a consistent product that comes out from the other end. So the reason why it's called 6S is primarily because, the steps that we take, each one can be identified by an S word, if you will. And I'll take you through quickly what it does in a minute. But what is the purpose of this? So this 6-step 6S quality process, at the end of the day, if I'm looking from the consumer perspective, I'm hoping that we are giving you the confidence that our products are safe, and that's paramount to us. They are effective because there's not much point putting a product together and it doesn't do any or doesn't bring any meaningful benefits. And I've already mentioned it must be of a consistency that is of the highest quality. And obviously, it will be compliant with all regulatory requirements around the world. So the first S is this selection step. And this is really, we want to make sure that we have raw materials, and especially we have to source them from suppliers around the world, that these are the best ingredients they're giving us. Because if you put garbage in, it really doesn't matter how much science that you do, your final product will be garbage as well. And we want to make sure that we select at even from the starting point at ground zero, we have materials that are clean and free of any toxic chemicals or contaminants. That is really one of the steps that we take. And it's related to the sourcing. You know, it's sometimes we can find high quality raw materials, but we can't get enough of them. And this again is something that we worry about. So we want to make sure our sourcing team spends a lot of time making sure that we have enough of it to make our product is of great quality, and our chemists will actually take samples of these raw materials to make sure that the key actives, in other words, not every leaf has the active ingredients. So if it doesn't have it, putting a ground up leaf in a capsule doesn't really help because it will not have any benefits. So we have to analyze and make sure that the raw materials have these active ingredients. So when we've done all that and finally produce a finished product, we must have specifications. And this is what we have to put, and you can see that all our products do contain what we call a supplement facts or a nutrition label at the back of the bottle. And it lists the active compounds, and has all the ingredients that we put in together. Some of these ingredients are necessary to get a good, consistent blend, because we need to have a consistent blend. We can't have one ingredient staying in a different location. It has to be a uniform blend before we put into our products. So this is what we call the specification step. And again, our scientists, and it's the reason for our 75 scientists, is because they can analyze and be able to make sure that every product that we make today is a product that we can reproduce and duplicate a year from now, 5 years from now. That's the reason why we standardize. We have the specifications, and you can only do that if you test. And now I think people are beginning to appreciate at this particular time of the year where you can see how important it is to get testing, because if you don't test, you won't have the data and you won't know where you're heading to going forward. So that's how we standardize. I already mentioned about safety is an important step for us, particularly for any microbial. These are natural products. They have microbial contamination. Heavy metals would be another group of contaminants that we test regularly, and other things that we do that might not be sort of consistent in making a safe product. So, all right, we got this final product together. So how do we prove it? And this is where the clinical studies kick in, and the other functional studies that we do in science. And that is to make sure that when we make a claim for a product, that claim is supported and substantiated by scientific studies. I think that's the only way to make a claim. I don't think in Nu Skin we have ever made a claim that is not based on science, and that's a challenge we have. in the competitive world, and that is that anybody can make a claim that sounds really appealing and highly attractive, but there's no science behind it, and we don't tend to do that. And obviously, this is the most important step, if you will, in substantiation, because what we say behind a product is what we do to get the data to support it. All right, you've heard Tyler mention about devices. This is our engineering lab. It's a later development in our R&D engine, if you will. And if you recall, we actually launched a device way back in Pharmanex as well, called the biophotonic scanner. That perhaps is an accidental sort of focus we got into new skin because one thing led to another, and now we have several devices also in the skincare category. And these are some of the equipment that we use. Making devices is not an easy thing, and I think I'm going to let one of the scientists later to talk to you about the most recent device that we're going to launch. But once again, this is, for example, is a cutout of the LumiSpa that we launched a couple of years ago. And I'm sure many of you have used it. And again, I mean, we have engineers who develop this, but at the end of the day, we have other scientists that need to be involved to make sure that it's actually delivering a benefit. You know, I've listed many of them here, but really the message is when you want to talk about really innovation, true innovation, you need several types of scientists coming together. It's not about just one type of scientist. It's really a combination of several scientific disciplines and engineering expertise to deliver a device product such as LumiSpa. So, and again, I'll move on to another device. This would be the galvanic treatment. This would be the galvanic spa. And again, it uses a different technology than the LumiSpa. Here, we use electrical technology, the galvanic technology. And this is where we can help ingredients, because ingredients chemically do exist in some kind of electrical charge on the surface, and we can take advantage of that to drive or to make sure that the ingredients get to the site of action. And the galvanic spa over the years has proven to be a very useful tool to firm up the skin and the face as well. So it still continued to be one of the device cornerstones. And you can use this together with some of our consumables. Here I'm just illustrating one that's called a Nutriol Intensive Scalp and Hair Serum. And we design, as you can see here, a special head. It's a detachable head that you can put on the galvanic spa. And with that kind of design, you can actually help the Nutriol to get into the scalp much more efficiently and effectively. So, and when it does that, the hair gets stronger. It gets really a better shine to it. You have a healthier scalp. Altogether, it comes together, and the Nutriol will protect the hair from any free radical damage and so on as well. So a wonderful product that we launched over the last 2 years, I believe, especially the Nutriol consumable, and we redesigned the head to make sure that it follows the contour of the scalp to deliver the consumable. All right, so here's the H-Lock boost that Tyler alluded to, right? So it's the actual size, you can't tell from the picture, but this one is really a travel size kind of device. You can literally drop it into your purse, and if you're a man, and I hope all men will use this product as well, or this device, you can drop it into your pocket as well. And it's again, because of our experience with the galvanic spa, we have used that knowledge to develop another type of electrical technology. And this would be the pulsation oscillation technology. and I'll show you in a video in a minute. But fundamentally, we can show the use of this device together with the consumable, and this would be some kind of an activating serum. You would have bouncier, your skin will look brighter, it will be more radiant, and it will be plumper. I think these are the features and benefits. When they come together, it will give you a much more youthful look on the face. And it even from some of our preliminary studies, we are beginning to see that even a one-time use would achieve that kind of result. And we really think, we're very excited that it could drive, become an entry point, if you will, for another business opportunity. All right, very simple to use. You just slide up the scale, that white scale that you saw on the front of this Boost device, and that's when it's turned on, and then you just use it on your face and literally put together with a serum, if you will. It really doesn't take much instructions to use it effectively, and you get the results that you need. The serum, again, is a combination. It does have some active ingredients in there. It's a proprietary age-lock blend, and it's, once again, because of age-lock science, we find that these ingredients can actually address the genetic sources of aging in a very effective way. They're all natural. This blend of natural ingredients. Many of them come from the apples, the lentil, and the watermelon rinds. And just to give you some of the chemical names below it, these are the active ingredients that we've extracted from some of these natural foods. Okay, so we have included hyaluronic acid because it's well known that hyaluronic acid plays a very important role in hydration, because it literally, this molecule on a chemical basis actually can hold on to water molecules very well, and it helps to retain the moisture within the skin. This is one of the most important properties of hyaluronic acid. Okay, so this Boost, as I mentioned to you, is an electrical technology, and it's called a variable pulse microcurrent technology. It's frankly, it's rather a mouthful even for me to keep on repeating it. But what it means is that it's just sort of oscillates between a negative charge and a positive charge very rapidly. In fact, the switch from positive to negative, as you see here, is it occurs every 2.4 seconds. You know, and I'm going to have Dale Kern. He's actually the scientist who thought this thing, thought of this idea and worked on it and developed it. And he's a much better position. He's in a much better position to explain what it is. So these are just some slides showing you what it does in a visual animated way. And it just oscillates between, you know, the positive and the negative, as I mentioned. And here is Dale Kern.
Hello, I'm Dale Kern, Research Fellow with Nu Skin Global Research and Development, and I've had the great opportunity to help shape development of our age-lock Boost device. The key science behind age-lock Boost lies in the exclusive microcurrent waveform with variable pulse technology. This is something that is only found at Nu Skin, and we're really excited about its potential benefits. Unlike traditional microcurrent delivery, age-lock Boost's pulsing technology sends intermittent, random pulses to the skin 8 times every second, and these pulses are charge balanced, switching from positive to negative every 2.4 seconds. When used with age-lock Boost activating treatment, this current optimizes skin to reveal its natural beauty. This can include visible improvements like brighter, plumper, and bouncier skin after a single use. And with regular use, many of these benefits can continue to improve. I hope you'll love this latest innovation from the world's #1 at-home beauty device system brand as much as we have loved developing it for you. Thanks for watching.
Okay, so that's HLOC Boost. Very exciting. We are actively, as we speak here, we are really completing and finalizing the clinical studies. But even the early results that we look at tend to make us feel very confident that the final clinical studies will help to prove that it's working effectively. So by the time this particular device is launched, most likely in the fourth quarter or so, in some of the markets, you will have the clinical results coming out by then, and we're going to hope to share it with you as soon as they're available. Okay, so all right, they're coming very soon, and I think this boost will once again almost form this sort of almost, what do we have? We have now the galvanic spa, we have the HLOC Me, the customization mixing machine, and smart skincare regimen system. We have Lumi Spa, and now we're adding on a very convenient, almost travel size HLOC Boost to that collection, and they are all focused. They emphasize a particular aspect of useful looking skin, so they can all be used in combination together. And I'm just hoping that HLOC Boost will contribute to much of your success once it's launched. So those are the things that we have coming through, and I'm just hoping that when these things are available, we can really make sure that we can share more data with you as we go forward. All right. I think that would, yep, that will cover what I'm hoping to tell you today. And there are other exciting products, both from the Pharmanex side too, that are under very advanced development. And those products will come through probably next year or so, and we'll be able to talk about those products very soon. There's a whole line that today I haven't spent a lot of time talking to you about, and I think you saw it on Tyler's slide. That would be the nutraceuticals. That again is based on another type of science that we have developed that we call bioadaptives, and that those ingredients actually can help your skin to bioadapt or to adapt to the environment depending on where you are. So hopefully in the future, very soon we can talk about those products even more.